So this is a good look test that I wanted to try for some of my book reviews that I'm going to do or other things that I'm going to do. The only thing is I'm holding the mic right now, but later I can put it on the boom. The boom is on the other side of the table, so I can't drag it across here. But I've set up a new frame and I'm recording this on OBS on my computer. So it's an interesting experiment. Let me see how that goes. I've also brought out my Sony lens after a long time, and I hope it's all right because it's been lying in the dehumidifier kind of cabinet that I have to protect the lenses. The Mumbai monsoon can be quite terrible. So it's important. I got fungus on my other lens, the Sigma lens, and I invested in that cabinet, which is, I think, really worth the money. So anyway, this is going to be the frame, and the lighting is going to improve a little bit because I haven't worked on the background or anything so far. And it's going to be a little bit better, but broadly it's going to be like this. The audio hopefully should be really nice here because I'm a little bit further away from the walls, so there should be a little less reverb and stuff. And I'm going to be talking about next a couple of books that I've read. So one of them is In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. It's a fantastic book by Gabor Mate, who is a practicing psychiatrist, or I think psychologist. I think a psychiatrist because he's also allowed to prescribe medicines and things like that. And he worked in Canada's Skid Row, which is I think in Vancouver. I'm not sure whether it was Toronto or Vancouver, but it was a drug district where all the addicts used to live, and there was a charitable hotel where they were all allowed to live without judgment because it was a new experiment, rather than some of these government schemes where it can be fairly harsh on the addicts. So why am I reading a book about drug addiction though? Because I fortunately have no such problem, and I don't know anybody who does, thankfully. But the mechanisms that drive drug addiction, which is of a fairly extreme form, the same mechanisms exist in our brain. So for example, I think I might have a mild food addiction, and I look for that dopamine hit of food whenever I'm feeling bored or depressed or angry or just looking for some kind of comfort. And that's, I think, basically the book makes the case a little bit that it's almost the same mechanism that you're dealing with there. And so that's why it's so powerful. And he goes into the experience of it all as a practitioner in that part of town dealing with drug addicts and kind of seeing how much harm they put themselves to and still can't rid themselves of their drug addiction. But also, it's seen from the perspective, he explains the biochemistry, the dopamine, how it floods the neurons, and also the other mechanisms of biochemistry that work in the brain that make this such a powerful thing and then leave you drained afterwards. So when you get that high and you come back down, then you want more of the stuff to kind of make you feel better. So he talks about cocaine, he talks about methadone, which is a drug that is actually prescribed for people to get off, I think, opioids or cocaine or whatever it is. So it's quite interesting that way. But more interesting is his entire conversation around his own addiction, which is he buys classical music CDs, and it's become an addiction. It's not really something that he has choice over or exercises a lot of free will over. So it promises to be a really interesting book, and I want to kind of look at all these aspects and kind of understand my own addiction. It's helped a little bit, and I've just got to the chapter where he's talking about how to deal with it. So a food addiction may not seem like a very serious thing, but it can lead to harmful consequences. You can put on a lot of weight, especially if you don't have an active life. And we have a lot of work from home these days. I'm trying to set up get a business going, and a lot of work is from home and over Zoom calls and stuff like that. So you end up being at home a lot. And if you kind of reach out for food, which is always available at home all the time for comfort, and you don't think of it as harmful, then over time you can put on weight. It can lead to lifestyle health issues and stuff like that. Fortunately, I've stayed active by swimming, and I'm doing a running program and stuff like that. But I do feel that it is something that I find very difficult to get control over, particularly with food. It's not like cocaine. It's either you have it or you don't. Food is something that you have to have every day for your nourishment. But the balance between nourishment and a little bit of a treat and what is harmful for you as a lifestyle can be quite tricky. And I think that's one of the problems with food. And also, it's one of our primary drives. Hunger is one of our primary drives. So if we mistake some of our emotions to be hunger, then that can also make it a very powerful reinforcement and very difficult to distinguish between what is food and what you're eating because of your addiction. So that's really what I wanted to overcome, because I've been struggling with it all my life. I've stayed fit for a large part. I used to be a sports person, but I've struggled, and it's clearly my go-to comfort thing in life. So that's why I read this book. And the hypothesis that all these addictions, all the way from cocaine addicts to food addicts to shopping addicts and workaholics, and everybody kind of shares essentially the same mechanism, the same drive that gets you there. And that's been really helpful. And now I'm getting to the part where he talks about how to address it and how to deal with your addiction. And it starts with compassionate and curiosity, essentially. That's the chapter that I'm on, and other things will follow. So I'll update you about the book, and hopefully once I'm through with it, I'll take you across a quick look at what that whole book is about, although I think I've given it away already, a large part of it. But I'm looking forward to doing that review, because I loved reading the book. Because the thing with Gabor Mate, I really admire him, by the way, because I've seen his social media channels, YouTube channels and clips and stuff like that. Really admire him for his thoughts, for his understanding. He talks with a great amount of sensitivity and understanding and compassion, and I love that about him. So that's why I picked up this book, and I'm really looking forward to kind of doing a review isn't the right word, but just an overview of the book. So in case you'd like to read it, then you can pick it up. So I'll see you during that review. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.